Friends, Temple Run was one of the most addictive mobile games of its time. In classrooms, on the metro, or in college canteens, the same scene could be witnessed everywhere. People were running, collecting coins, and trying to escape from demons. It would not be wrong to say that the place mobile gaming has reached today began somewhere with Temple Run. Yes, we are now in the era of games like Free Fire and PUBG, but back then, Temple Run was a game that was played not just by gamers, but by almost everyone. Age, gender, or interest had no boundaries. But how did the game that taught the whole world that the thrill lies not in winning, but in running just a bit more, ultimately fall behind in this race? Let's delve into everything in detail in today's video. Friends, the story of Temple Run begins with a husband and wife duo, Keith Shepard and Natalia Lukyanova. They both worked at a company named Vegma Technologies, where their job was to create software for hospitals. The work wasn't bad, but there was a longing in their hearts, a desire to create something of their own, where creativity would know no bounds. However, they had no clear idea of what to do or how to start. Keith had been interested in game development since childhood. For this reason, he was still pursuing this work as a side hobby. At the same time, he was such a huge fan of Apple mobile phones that he could always be seen standing in line first when a new iPhone was launched. In 2008, when Apple announced that they would soon be launching the App Store, this moment became a turning point in Keith's life. He thought, let's quit our jobs and start making games for the App Store. From this idea, Keith and Natalia began their first project in 2008. It was a world puzzle game named Imangi. The journey of creating this game was so special that later they named their company after it, Imangi Studios. In the first month, their game earned nearly $5,000, which was far beyond their expectations. This success gave both of them tremendous confidence. They thought if a simple game could perform so well, then surely creating something new and more advanced would lead to something great. From this thought, they went on to create a series of word games because they hoped that at least some of these games would become hits. But the outcome was quite the opposite. All the games remained virtually unnoticed in the market. Yet they did not give up. They decided that now they had to create something big, and by Christmas, they would develop a 3D dressing game named Little Red Sled. The concept of this game was quite simple. A cartoon child racing on a snow-covered mountain. He was soaring through the air, dodging various obstacles to reach the finish line. Visually, the game was very appealing and smooth. Keith and Natalia's plan was to complete the game within 3 months and launch it during the Christmas season. However, the project ended up taking nearly 6 months to complete. By then, Christmas had long since passed. In other words, the perfect timing for which the game was intended was lost. As a result, the founders suffered significant losses and decided to never create a seasonal game again. Subsequently, in 2009, they launched a game called Harbor Master. Although it was a small project, but the outcome was monumental, as Harbor Master was their first game to earn over $100,000 in just 1 year. Witnessing this success, Keith and Natalia felt for the first time that they could truly achieve something great on their own, because now their small company, Imangi Studios, had become not just a passion project, but gradually a recognized name. However, the couple knew that to move forward, good gameplay alone was not enough. The game also needed to be equally appealing and polished. From this thought, they hired a talented artist, Neil Chang Home. As a result, their team grew from 2 to 3 members. In the following time, the 3 of them began working on a game called Max Adventure, which had a significant amount of investment. The visuals of this game were stunning and very appealing to children, but the problem was that its gameplay was so complex that players couldn't truly enjoy the game. Some people were unable to understand how to actually play this game. Thus, most players abandoned the game midway. But friends, say that sometimes your failures become the biggest turning points in your life. This is exactly what happened with Keith and Natalia. They decided that before creating their next game, they would understand where the mistakes were in this game and how to improve it. During this time, they noticed that when a character collected coins in Max Adventure, the moment felt incredibly satisfying. It was at this moment that the idea for their next game struck them. Yes, I'm talking about Temple Run, which later became one of the most addictive mobile games in the world. But the concept of Temple Run, as simple as it seemed, was just as challenging to create. This sparked various conflicts within the team. In fact, after the failure of Max Adventure, they decided that the next game would be simple and straightforward. It would be playable by anyone without any instructions. The Amangi Studio team would start each game with a prototype, meaning without final art or graphics. Only a basic screen would be created, featuring some simple shapes and a character that would simply run forward. After seeing this prototype, Neil came up with an idea that would change the fate of Amangi Studio. The game's core mechanism was quite simple: stealing a statue from an ancient temple, running to escape the pursuing evil demon monkey, swiping to turn, and jumping or sliding to avoid obstacles. Initially, the game was priced at 99 cents, but when Amangi transitioned it to free-to-play model, its popularity skyrocketed. Yet one question remained: why was the character running? Then they introduced a mythological twist to the story. An explorer has stolen something valuable from a temple and is trapped in a mysterious world where he must keep running. Launched on August 4th, 2011 in the App Store for 99 cents, Temple Run quickly gained immense popularity. It rapidly climbed the charts, filled with positive reviews, and the number of downloads continued to rise. Within a few weeks, the situation took a turn. Downloads began to gradually decline, and the game's popularity started to wane. Friends in the mobile gaming world refer to it as a death spiral. Once a game starts to fall, it becomes nearly impossible to bring it back up. This was a challenging time for the Amangi team. Keith and Natalia wanted to save the game from dying at any cost, so they made a big decision. 4 months after the launch, in December 2011, they removed the 99-cent price tag and made the game completely free. But Keith and Natalia still had bills to pay and a studio to run. Then they decided to incorporate ads into the app to establish a basic revenue stream. And from here, the story takes a new turn, because in the paid version, downloads began to surge as if a flood had arrived. Within just a few weeks, Temple Run had created a sensation worldwide. By December 2011, Temple Run secured its place among the top 50 most downloaded apps on the iTunes Store. It became a #1 iOS app. You might be wondering why I haven't mentioned Android yet. Friends, let me clarify. Initially, this game was launched exclusively for iOS. Thus, it built a unique identity among iPhone users. It was so well received that within months, it became synonymous with iPhone gaming for its growing popularity. The developers decide to bring it to other platforms. On March 27, 2012, the Android version is released, and within just 3 days, it surpasses 1 million downloads. From here, the global journey of Temple Run begins. Initially beloved only by iPhone users, the game starts appearing on nearly every smartphone after the Android release. Even many celebrities fall in love with this game. Due to this excitement, by August 2012, less than a year later, the craze for Temple Run grows so much that the app exceeds 100 million downloads. Players around the world engage in over 10 billion game sessions, meaning that when all gameplay time is combined, people have played Temple Run for 54,000 years. Temple Run then becomes a complete global sensation. During this time, Hollywood's attention turns to the game. Thus, in 2012, Disney partners with Amangi and together creates Temple Run Brave, which is based on the film Brave. The gameplay remains the same, but the visuals and theme clearly showcase Disney's magic. The following year, in 2013, Temple Run Oz was launched, inspired by Disney's Oz the Great and Powerful. It was more colorful, cinematic, and adventurous. As players played, they felt as if they were part of a movie. That same year, Temple Run 2 was released, a sequel to the original game. But just as a business can face a downturn after a profit, Temple Run began to experience its own decline. the game gradually got stuck in its own repetition. Each time, the same rope, run, jump, then run again. In this way, players slowly began to grow bored. They started wanting new missions that would provide more thrill. However, Imangi Studios wanted to maintain the simplicity of the game. It was then that they noticed Computer Surfers. This game was launched in 2012. Subway Surfers looked just like Temple Run, a never-ending run where you just run and dodge obstacles. But both were never-ending games. Yet the difference was vast. Subway Surfers was fast, colorful, and vibrant. Each character had its own personality. Each run had different strengths and vibes. Instead of the darkness of the jungle, the bright subway air now resonates with cool hip-hop music as children race on the board. The best part is that everyone receives updates in this game every month. With a new World Tour update, players gained visuals and characters from cities like Paris, Tokyo, Cairo, and more. However, the Imangi team has always been a small group of 10 to 12 people. Keith and Natalia wanted their team to remain small to maintain creativity. For this reason, it was not possible to bring updates on a large scale. While Temple Run was at the top in 2012, by 2018, Subway Surfers became the most downloaded mobile game in the world. Not just Subway Surfers, many runner games appeared in the App Store in 2015. Minion Run or Sonic Dash, Agent Dash, Running Fred, and so on. As a result, even after Temple Run 2, Imangi tried new paths. In 2014, they launched Temple Run VR for Samsung Gear, offering a first-person view running experience. But at that time, VR devices were not popular among the general public. Then, in November 2016, Temple Run Treasure Hunts, and in 2021, Temple Run Puzzle Adventure were launched. However, there wasn't much enthusiasm among the fans. At the same time, many copied versions of Temple Run flooded the market. As a result, its originality and uniqueness gradually diminished. Despite the company's various efforts, once someone uninstalls the game from their phone, they rarely return to it. Friends, Imangi Studios has now promised that they will soon bring Temple Run 3, which will be even more fun and thrilling than before. But to be honest, they still haven't announced a release date. It's also uncertain whether it can showcase the same magic as before. Temple Run 1 and Temple Run 2 are still available on the App Store and Play Store, and when Temple Run 3 will arrive remains unknown. Players' attention has now shifted to first-person shooters, action-adventure, and role-playing games. Despite all this, Temple Run was not just a game. It was an emotion that taught us that the thrill lies not in winning, but in running just a little bit more. The game that taught us to run has now fallen behind in the race. Friends, who among you played Temple Run and still enjoys it? Let us know in the comments. And please share the video widely to let everyone know.